with you in this video how to heal from your past and shift your identity as a result of it. And so what I've seen is that a lot of people, what can happen in their life is that they are locked into recreating themselves into an extremely similar version of themselves that they're not even happy with because they're simply attached to an idea of the past. Something that happened to them, maybe whether it was something recent, whether it was a few days ago, or whether it was a few weeks ago, or maybe it was a few years ago, or better yet, 10 or 20 years ago. The moral of the story here, and the point that I'm trying to make, is that people can get locked into cycles of recreating themselves into things that they don't want to be. And then so really what I'm going to be sharing with you in this video is how not to do this and how to be the person that you actually want that resonates for you in this present moment. And then so the first thing that I want to share with you in this video in terms of how to heal from your past and shift your identity into the person that you actually want to be is to understand that, of course, your past in the first place exists only as a thought in the eternal present now moment. So the eternal present now moment is an independent thing regardless of this idea that comes up about your past. And that essence of the present moment, that truth of who you really are, is where I believe all the magic is when we stay conscious of that place. That's where the magic can happen. Oftentimes when we're attached to an idea of who we think we are, we're attached to what we think has to happen, we block possibility of what can happen just by simply letting it happen and allowing you wanting what you want just to be enough. Oftentimes, we don't let the natural flow of action take place. That doesn't require any thinking, as a matter of fact, because really, thinking is just the planning part of life. You want to learn also how to be a good executor. And if you're stuck in the ideas of the past, you have to understand that, just have an understanding before anything else that I say, that your past doesn't actually exist in the present moment. It only exists as an idea. And so this idea, the question is, do you want this idea? Do you want to give this idea power? That's the question you should be asking yourself if you want to heal from your past. And not saying that you should be asking yourself, but I would invite and encourage you to ask this question if you're serious about stopping what some people can call falling into the healing trap, where you're falling into healing yourself 24/7, when the truth of the matter here is that you can shift into a timeline where, of course, you already are where you want to be and you're already in perfect alignment with being the person that already has what they want. So understand that, again, first of all, the past doesn't actually exist. It only exists, again, as an idea. So the second thing that I want to share with you in this video to connect to the first point is to understand that really, of course, have an awareness that you already are where you want to be in your life. That's the place that you want to come from as you walk through your life. Of course, assume as if that you already have what you want and that you are already there, and then take action in alignment with it. So try not to think about it too much, because there's a knowing within you that knows what you have to do to sort of assume that you already have it. You sort of know. You know how you have to act. Oftentimes, we're just not willing to be bold enough. And understand that willingness is a very powerful word, because I want you to become aware right now that how willing you are to do something has very little to do with how you feel about it or how scared you are to not do it. Willingness is about how, again, I hate to use the word in the definition, but I'll just ask a question. How willing are you to take action regardless of how you feel? That's just a basic question, and you can answer this question and kind of sit with it and understand that, well, wait, if I have a willingness to take action even if I don't feel like it, and then just do it, and then you can sort of assume that you already are where you want to be, this now becomes very practical conversation. This doesn't become just sort of this airy-fairy woo-woo conversation where it's like it makes you feel excited and then makes you feel happy. It's like, no, actually, you can learn to become an executor regardless of your negative self-talk, which is genuinely going to put you at an advantage over other people that see that they don't even believe that they can take action because of their negative self-talk. You don't have to remove negative self-talk or negative thoughts to start taking action. You can start taking action regardless of what the negative thoughts of your mind is telling you, and then understand that of course you can give yourself permission to act as if you already have what you want in this present moment, and then do it every single day. And of course there's societal limits, like maybe you need to go to school to get a degree or something, maybe you need a certification to be, do certain things in the world, and whatever the case might be. But of course all of this can happen naturally, and the ideas will come to you to what certifications to complete if you of course live from the present moment of assuming you already have what you want now. So how does this connect to healing? It's about removing the possibility that you are not even already healed in this present moment, because of course that's the timeline you want to shift into ultimately anyway, right? So it all comes down to belief. If you believe that you have to go through patterns of not being healed to then finally now give yourself permission to be in a timeline of already being healed, then that's totally up to you and where your beliefs are at in terms of that situation. And of course everybody's going to be at different levels of belief for different areas of life in different situations, and I'm not going to give any specifics here, I'll speak generally. But ultimately speaking, it all depends on the situation, of course. But what you want to do to cut through all the negative self-talk and all the beliefs as fast as possible, and to be the fastest learner and to transform as fast as you possibly can, what you want to do is of course live from the end and assume you already have it. And then so the final thing that I want to share with you in this video in terms of how to heal from your past and shift your identity is to understand that you want to choose to stop giving power to your past. So understand as well that it is a choice to actually do so, like to give power to your past. And then also once you start to realize this, you can start to take responsibility over the fact that of course, if a negative past situation comes up in your life, maybe leading to negative self-talk, a negative thought process, you feel bad thoughts about a situation, you're thinking bad thoughts about a situation, right? What do you do in that moment? In that moment, it becomes very pivotal, sort of spiritually, what you can decide to do. And oftentimes, it will almost seem like on the way to your desire, usually shortly after you decide something, I don't believe by coincidence, something will happen where it's almost seems like life is testing you at a spiritual level, or maybe even at a very deep physical level. What you want to start to do is see that you have two choices, which is one, to allow that circumstance and emotion to define you and who you are, or if you want to continue to come from a space of spiritual sovereignty and understand that you do not own anything in life. There's nothing that you own. You don't own your body. You don't own your possessions. If you make lots of money, if you have a nice house, if you have a nice car, if you have nice possessions, understand that you might on paper sign it and then society tells you that you own it. But from the most existential perspective, you came into this life with nothing. And of course, you will leave with nothing as well. You own nothing at the end of the day. So what you want to start to do is from that space, understand that when a negative situation happens, it might sound so simple, and it's almost hard for me to make it not sound simple, and I don't want to try to make it not sound simple. So really understand that this might sound simple, but it's so powerful, which is to see that ultimately speaking, all you have to do is choose to not give attention to a negative self-talk or a negative situation in your life that's making you feel negative. Choose not to give it energy. And so if you feel negative about something, that's fine. That's totally understandable. Not to say that it's fine that you still want to leave it there, but I'm saying, like, if it's already happening, then what you want to do from that space is don't add fuel to the fire. And then the way that I've come to do this is to take control over your attention and then pulling the energy back towards yourself, rather than trying to control the external world, which ultimately, of course, you have no control over anyway. So really what I'm inviting and encouraging you to start to do is to understand that it is a choice to be a victim. Okay, it's a choice to fall into a state of victimhood. Try as little as possible to blame the external world for why you feel a certain way. And when we can start to do this, what I believe is that now you're giving yourself permission to be already a healed person and where you want to be in your life. There's no more trying to let go of the bad things in your life, because remember, if you're trying to let go of something bad in your life, you're assuming you're not already healed, that you're not where you want to be. You want to live from the end as much as possible, That will help you to let go of all the negative emotion and the negative frequencies that are out of alignment with who you want to be. And then naturally, you will just be who you prefer to be instead in your life.